Is up, YouTube? It's your boy Beastie2499 back from the graveyard, back at it again with another video. Today talking about the best Titan builds in 2023. Before we get into it, I just want to say a huge sorry for not uploading for multiple years, as I've just had life stuff to do and it's just been a lot. So sorry for uploading, but hopefully today is the start of a bit more frequent uploads by me. But without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so for the first build we've got is just Strand Titan, which is the newest subclass that was added into the Lightfall expansion. So if you want to go onto it, this is a melee focused build. So if you're not really into melee focused builds, well, I'll tell you what, Titan might not be for you, but let's get into it. So obviously Super's the same, these four are completely up to you, except I use Grapple only because of the extra melee damage that you get at the end of one. That's completely up to you. Aspects are obviously the most important. We've got Into the Fray, where destroying a Tangle or casting your super grants Woven Mail for nearby allies, and the important part that we'll use it for is while you have Woven Mail, your melee regeneration rate is increased. So obviously if you throw a Tangle at yourself, you'll get increased melee regen, which is really good for this build. And probably the most important one of this build, the Banner of War, where defeating a target with a melee attack, finisher, or sword raises a Banner of War that pulses with energy, periodically healing nearby allies and destroying melee and increasing melee and sword damage. Targets defeated by you and nearby allies charge the banner, increasing the speed of its pulses. But the extra kills don't have to be with a melee weapon; it can just be with a gun. So as long as you have people next to you killing stuff, it will go on forever. Fragments, there's a few here that you could probably switch out, but it's more or less the same as what you would use. But first we've got a Thread of Fury, where damaging targets with a Tangle grants melee energy. Obviously this is good because you want melee energy from this, and Into the Fray gives you that. Thread of Transmutation, where while you have weapon final blows create a Tangle. Obviously good because we want more Tangles, the more melee energy we have. Next one is Thread of Propagation, where powered melee final blows grant your strong weapons unraveling rounds. This is probably one of the ones you could switch out. I'm using Quicksilver Storm with a Catalyst, which gives my gun like a strand element, so this works for me, but if you don't have a strand weapon, you can use something else. And lastly, we have Thread of Binding, where super final blows emit a suspending burst from the target. This is just completely up to you. This last slot is, just up to you. I've only done it for the plus 10 resilience, but it's also good, obviously, for Titans. But if we want to, also, the guns, obviously, Quicksilver Storm, I only use this for the strand part of it, where, obviously, that Catalyst, actually, if you shoot stuff with your grenade final blows, they create a Tangle, obviously good for this build. And you are going to want a shotgun with 1-2 punch, doesn't matter which one, but any of them, because obviously if you hit every pellet with a shotgun with 1-2 punch, your next melee will do a lot more damage, so a lot. Heavy, completely up to you, that's just my choice. Commemoration is always a good machine gun. For the mods, the general mods obviously is completely up to you. Obviously for Titans, Resilience is good because it gives us our wall back. Recovery is also good just for any class. But if you don't want recovery, I'd probably obviously go to strength of melee. So that's completely up to you. For the just regular armor mods, we've got Hands On, which you gain bonus super energy on melee kills. Obviously good because we're getting melee kills all the time with this build. And then this other one's completely up to you, but I use this just to obviously create more orbs, which will give us Woven Mail and therefore go on. Alright, to the Decepts. As every Titan main obviously knows, the best gauntlets to use for a melee build, because they give you, I'm pretty sure it's a 2x multiplier on your melee damage if 2 or more enemies are around you, which obviously for a melee build is absolutely insane. We're going to go with Heavy Handed, which obviously powered melee fighters create all the power to give us more Woven Mail, so keep going that. And then I've just got Kinetic Clodagh, which this is also up to you. Whatever elements you're using, you can use that, but obviously I'm using that for my own guns. We've got, this one's basically also up to you, it's just resilience mods, and if you really want you can use reserves, but not really worth it when you can have resilience mods that stop you from dying. So chest piece is more up to you, more or less. Legs, we are going to want Absolution, which just reduces all of your ability recharge when you pick an orb, which is obviously useful for any part of the game. And then if we want to stack more into the melee side, we can do the exact same but with melee cooldowns. And then Scavenge is just obviously for my commemoration to get more ammo. And then for the Mark, we've got just double time dilation, so we can keep armor charge up just to get that increased damage and stuff like that. But without further ado, let's go into a lost sector and test out this build for you. We'll also be going into Neomuna lost sectors because I can actually show the full potential. Obviously, a normal lost sector will just everything will fall over. So I'll see you there. Alright, so now that we're done with the Strand build, let's go on to probably arguably the best build that the Titan has, which is the most infamous, the Bonk Titan. So obviously you want Sunbreaker for this one, which we'll go into spec now. Your choice for the Super Hammer of Soul, Burning Maw. I just use Hammer of Soul because it's, in my opinion, better since you have more ability to kill stuff with it. Once again, these three are up to you, except for obviously the melee, in which case you want the Throwing Hammer, because obviously we're just going to be using that the entire time. This one's obviously built for add clear and single target damage, opposed to the Strand's basically only single target damage. So in my opinion, this one's a bit better. I use Healing Grenade just to have some sort of life support, even though we've got these two aspects which make it impossible to die. Speaking of them, we've got probably the two most important part of the build, Roaring Flames, where final blows with solar abilities or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities, which stacks 3 times. Obviously, since we're going to be spamming the melee, we'll get Roaring Flames times 3 the entire time. And Sol Invictus, where solar ability final blows, hammer, or solar impacts, and defeating scorched targets create sunspots. Your abilities regenerate faster, and your super drains more slowly while standing in a sunspot. Sunspots also apply scorch and deal damage to targets inside. Entering a sunspot applies restoration, which obviously this will make you invincible as a Titan, as if you are a Titan, you probably know already. For fragments, we have got Ember of Mercy. I basically only use this one for the resilience once again, but it's also just a really good fragment because you get fire sprites from killing scorched targets, which your melee will do. Ember of Empyrean, where your solar weapon final blows, weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. Obviously, since we're getting solar ability final blows and we have restoration already applied to us, we're going to get infinite restoration. Ember of Wonder, where rapidly defeating multiple targets with solar ignitions generate noble power. This one's more for the Hammer of Soul, because Hammer of Soul obviously causes ignitions. And then Ember of Solace, where radiant and restoration effects applied to you having increased duration, which obviously match with Empyrean and Sol Invictus, so we basically cannot die whatsoever. To go into the weapons, the primary slot is completely up to you. I just use my Fate Bringer because I like the gun. Once again, you'll want a 1-2 punch shotgun for the extra melee damage. Obviously, 1-2 punch is the ideal perk for it. And then Tractor Cannon is the exotic we're using, because just shoot someone with this and they already get a 13% from memory Tractor Cannon debuff, something like that. But it gives them a debuff which is good for your Hammer of Soul. Hammer in general. For mods, we are going to go, once again, general on mods, completely up to you. Resilience is good. You won't really need strength for this one because you can just pick up your hammer and instantly get your melee ability back, so I wouldn't spec into that, but it's up to you. We've got Heavy Ammo Finder. I only use this for Tractor Cannon, obviously it's good. And then we've got Hands On, which is the same as Strand. Game bonus super energy on melee kills, obviously we're using a melee a lot, so we'll use that one. Synthetics, once again, just gives us that massive melee damage boost. We've got the exact same perks, Heavy-Handed, Kinetic Loader, which, as you can probably tell, it's got a bit of a pattern now. Strand and Solar use in similar perks. Basically up to you. I just stuck completely into resilience perks because I physically can't die with this build, which is insane, obviously. I use Solar Weapon Surge just for the 1-2 punch. I don't know what else to put here, so the legs are also basically completely up to you. Recuperation, obviously, because we're going to be making a bunch of orbs of power. And then Solar Scavenger for the shotgun, and then once again Time Dilation for the shotgun. Solar weapon increase, yeah, that's also completely up to you. But this is the build that I use. I like it, basically can't die at all, so I'm sure you'll like it as well. And without further ado, let's go back into that same lost sector and see how this build does now. the last build we've got today is an Arc build. This one isn't the best by any sort, it's more just a fun one that I like to use, so if you're looking for a more optimal build, probably go the Solar Strand one. But for this one, it's basically just we spam our melee ability, which is the Thunderclap, and then just everything around us gets jolt and dies. So, for the super, it's completely up to you. I use Thunder Crash for the single target damage. It's up to you if you prefer Fist of Havoc, that's fine by me. Once again, these ones don't really matter, except for this one, obviously. Thunderclap you're going to want for the build, because that's basically, it bases around that. Grenade, up to you. Pulse Grenade, I just find it the best to use. Touch of Thunder I use because I'm using Pulse Grenade, that's completely up to you. Knockout is just also completely up to you, but this one is a bit better for your melee, as if you get a target weak, your melee gets empowered by Arc Energy, so that's good. Fragments, we've got Arc Grenade jolts targets, so obviously just throw a grenade, jolt everything around them. Lingering Arc Grenades, which aka Pulse Grenade, which I'm using, lasts for longer, which is good. Spark of Feedback, where taking melee damage briefly, it increases your outgoing melee damage, which is good obviously for this build since we're going to be in the fray a lot. And then Spark of Vault, where finishes make you amplified. I purely use this for the recovery, but it's also good if you do use finishes. For the weapons, the only one that is necessary is the Monte Carlo, obviously, because the main perk allows you to instantaneously get your melee back on a kill if you're lucky. So I'll read it out to you. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill, which is obviously what we're going to want. I use Forbearance for the ag clearing, Song of Ur-Yut just because I like the machine gun in general. For the perks, we have got the exact same general armor, completely up to you. Heavy Ammo Finder for my Song of Ur-Yut. Arc Siphon I use just to pick up some orbs of power so I can get all that stuff back. This one I purely use for obviously Kinetic Loader and then Arc Loader for my Forbearance. We're going to be using the Point Cannon Braces for this build because it makes the Thunderclap absolutely insane. So read you the perk right now. It's got the Hammer of Gods, where defeating target with your Thunderclap melee restores melee energy. Targets near you when you use your Thunderclap suffer lightning strikes that become jolted. Amplified increases the damage of these lightning strikes. Obviously, we want to be amplified. Use a melee attack, kill as much time as we can get so we can instantly get it back. This is what makes the build basically. Chest piece, completely up to you. I use Arc Reserve's Concussive Dampener just to have that extra resistance and more ammo. We've got this one here, which obviously Weapon Surge, Scavenger, up to you, whatever you use. And then double Elemental Time Dilation just so we can have that Arc Surge as much as possible. Without further ado, once again, I will see you in Lost Sector. Alrighty guys, so that is, in my opinion, the best 3 builds that the Titan has currently in 2023. If you guys want builds for both Void and the Stasis subclasses, if this video gets a bunch of comments that wants it, or gets above, I'd say, 10 likes, but that's asking for a very yeah, I might make one if you guys want one, and, you know, once again, I'm sorry for not uploading for multiple years, but hopefully this is the start of more uploads, hopefully. Yeah, if you like the content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, you guys have a good one. See you next time.